Hello, hello. Welcome to Media Queen TV. My name is Altuney here, and we have an amazing guest from Germany with us today. We have the phenomenal Kerstin Linnartz with us, and she's an extraordinary lady. We're going to be chatting about the 5 pillars of success today. Hot topic. A little bit about this amazing lady. Now, when we first got on the phone, I must say we just chatted like we've known each other for years. So I know this is going to be a fantastic episode today. A little bit about this lady. She is an entrepreneur. She's a media woman, an author, a coach, and a mentor for more than 2 decades. Her books and trainings have inspired over 200,000 people in the German-speaking countries. She's trained hundreds of yoga teachers worldwide and inspired thousands of women to take charge of their own life. She's been internationally certified as a coach and trainer through renowned organizations, nationally awarded, and is regularly interviewed as an expert in TV, print, and digital media outlets. She's now taking her offers online, and this has allowed her to share her mission to be better with people from right across the globe. Welcome, Kerstin.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. What an announcement.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Now, I was blown away when you said you were actually a bit of a child celebrity on TV in Germany. So could you share a bit about that background, how you first got into TV?
Yeah, not a child, really. I was 18 when I had my first TV show here in Germany. I was just making some money with modeling back then, and my agent, he pretty much asked me, I have a request for a casting for you for a TV show. And I was saying, well, why not? I can talk. What is it about? And he told me it's about the internet. It's a show that's merging TV and computer. And this was in 1998, right? This was way before social media. And I was saying, well, I have no clue about computers. Just skip that. And he pretty much, because he saw the potential, right? He pretty much forced me into this casting. And I was actually giving them a little bit of a cold shoulder because I wasn't into computers at all. But right after the casting, they said, we want this girl. She's witty, she's funny. And I got to enjoy it. It went through the roof. We got several awards. We were even broadcasted all the way to the US because it was the first TV format ever to merge television and internet. We were interacting with the audience live. Everything that's normal today, we were the ones to bring this to the world. And it went through the roof. And after that, I got offer after offer and after offer. So this is how I pretty much fell into the whole TV career. I ended up moving to the capital of Germany, to Berlin. I was hosting a show viewed by 7 million viewers per day. And yeah, a career was born, but with a downside as well, which I've been telling you about in our first talk, right?
Yes. Maybe we could touch on some of that downside. So what was some of the content you covered in those TV shows back then?
The very first ones, they were mere entertainment. I got to interview like Hollywood stars. It was about movie premieres. It was about music album premieres. This was also before live streams. This was way before you could get all the music on the internet, right? So actually all the big celebrities, the big bands, they were touring the world, and they came to my show to present their new albums, their new movie, and all of that. So I got to meet all these amazing people. I got to interview politicians and sports stars and world champions. And at a very young age, that was very impressive. Later on, I got offered a traveling show. So I traveled every single continent of the planet, except China. It didn't take me to China, but we did amazing documentaries in the African jungle, treating elephants. I would meet Aboriginal people, staying with their tribe, getting to know their rituals, cooking in the Asian jungle. And it was amazing. I mean, who gets to see all of those things at such a young age, right? I was in the beginning of my 20s, coming from a everything but wealthy background. I would have never seen all of those things if it hadn't been for these shows, right? And then later on, I got offered another entertainment show, which brought me to Berlin, to the capital. That was, again, they called it a lifestyle show. It was a lot about gossip, about better living. And it was very, very, very present, which then led to very well paid offers. And I actually got offered to co-produce my own show, which then put me in a position, because besides being the presenter, I had been studying journalism. I had been creating my own formats, my own concepts, because it was never enough for me to just be the pretty face presenting something, right? And I then co-created a show about physical and mental health with a very big producer here in Germany, which then turned into a success. By then, the internet had taken over. This was around 2006, I think we started it, and it got streamed online. It got presented on television, and I got to talk more and more about the topics that were of my personal interest, right? About healthy living, how do you create a better body, a better mind, and a better home, pretty much. And in a nutshell, these were the different shows that I was hosting. But it was very, very fast paced, as you can imagine, right?
Mm.
With the daily live show, I mean, I don't need to tell you that, what it means to go live every single day. You get invited to red carpet shows every single day. You cannot go to a restaurant without strangers approaching you. You cannot have a dinner without strangers wanting your photo, your autograph. Thank God this was before social media, so I did not have cell phones in my face day in, day out. People were still a bit more polite and they could not stream you so much. But nevertheless, I felt intruded into my private personal life, and being a hypersensitive personality by birth, by nature, and being very sensitive by my upbringing, because I grew up in a fight or flight mode, because I didn't grow up in a safe home. So it was difficult for me to deal with this whole stardom, celebrity thing, and all of a sudden people asking about my private life, doing interviews, and then being misquoted. Suddenly I would read things on the magazines that I had never said the way they would print it. Back then I was engaged, and when I broke up with my fiance, which was not a nice breakup, the press would come after me, right? And this was something that I felt as very, very negative. And this started to put me a little bit in a distance from this whole show business. Back then, thank God, I must say, from my position now, I had already been doing yoga and meditation for over 10 years. And this was my instinct. This is what I'm telling my clients nowadays. You need to find something to listen to, that silent little inner voice, before it gets too loud. And with me, there was so much going on the outside that I didn't hear that inner voice in the beginning. There was an inner voice after meditation telling me, it's not healthy. This is not what you're supposed to do. You are throwing your life away. But I ignored it. There was too much money involved, too much publicity involved. But eventually, I had something that nowadays you call burnout. Back then, this expression did not exist, but I got severely depressed. I started heavy drinking. There was substance abuse involved because of the show business. It makes it so easy for a young girl, right? You get offered substances, and my mental and physical health started to slowly go down. And I'm sure if it hadn't been for my year-long yoga and meditation practice, this could have gone a very, very unhealthy way. I mean, when you look at all these young people who get thrown into this, we call it the shark pond, right? At such a young age. And when you see all those biographies of people getting severely depressed, having burned out, getting drug addicted, when they come out later with that, it could have gone this way with me if it hadn't been for the practices that I had. So eventually, I felt I need to stop this. I need to, throw in a break here. And I decided to take a sabbatical. I decided to take a year off. And I told my manager back then, listen, I need a break. I can't do this anymore. It's just getting too much. My health is deteriorating. And I started traveling. I had enough money in the bank, so I didn't have to worry about that. So I started traveling through Europe. I went to Los Angeles. I did an acting training there. But then it took me to India because I had been doing yoga and meditation for so long. I had been reading about Advaita Vedanta philosophy quite a lot. And I went to India. And this is what turned my life around 180 degrees. I mean, this was literally life-changing.
Amazing, amazing. Gosh, as you're speaking there about the media, it just took me back to when I was in the media and entertainment reporter and interviewing people like Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe and Cyndi Lauper and Debbie Harry from Blondie. I mean, it was almost surreal. It was like these people you see on TV, or it was just like, are these real people? But actually, the more you interview people like this, you realize that, well, they're just like you and I. They're just people that have followed their passions. They love what they do, and they're rocking life because they're in flow, right? However, I can totally relate to the burnout, because that's absolutely what happened to me as well, is that after years of full on deadline, or, tight time frames, constantly, it was very high pressure. And it was I remember that the first job I started at the Daily Mercury in Mackay. I remember one of the senior reporters saying to me, "Aldwyn, you need a sense of urgency in this position. You need a sense of urgency." And from then on, it was just go, 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 until, many years later. It took me about probably 15 years or so after that, 15, 20 years to fully burn out. And I mean, I had high stamina. I was working crazy hours like yourself. It was constant VIP parties, constant drinking, lots of substances. I mean, it's just not sustainable. And in fact, a lot of the journalists I know from back then, a lot of them actually died in their early 60s of cancer. A lot of them didn't survive, because back then the culture was, the journalists would go out and they'd drink and they'd smoke, and they'd, as soon as work was done, they were de-stressing by drinking a lot. That was just the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really full-on industry. And I know you've interviewed some amazing people too. Are there any memorable ones you'd like to share from some of the famous people you interviewed back then?
Yeah, I would say actually the one that stuck with me most is just very shortly after Kurt Cobain took his life, right? I was interviewing his bass player on my live show, and we went so deep so quickly that he was actually revealing things that Kurt had been telling him about, and we started talking about his guru, right? And up to today, I still have the book he gave me. He said it's my favorite book. It's been given to me by my guru, but we met on this spiritual level immediately. This is why he opened up so much, right, in his show. And up to today, he gave me this book. He signed it for me, and he put a beautiful message inside, and I still have it up to today. It's been over 20 years ago. There have been so many. There was this amazing, very famous German singer. Her name is Nina Hagen. She's actually known.
99 Luftballons. Oh my God.
No, that's Nena. That's Nena.
She's Nina.
There's Nina Hagen. She's this like very eclectic personality. And also with her, we met on this deep spiritual level, because it turned out that she's a big time meditator, and she's telling me on the live show, because I was going in there, and she's telling me about her LSD and enlightenment moments. And my director, he was just like, keep going, this is amazing what you're getting out of her. And I never did any of my interviews from this background, like, let's see what I can get out of them, this little bit of thing. I was just genuinely connecting from soul to soul. And this is what I got mirrored from everyone I interviewed. So often I heard, even from high-ranking CEO, the boss of Mercedes-Benz, or like huge companies, so often I heard, I never felt that held on stage and that heard and understood on stage. Wow. It's like you're really talking to the person. And this is what I've been transferring to my coaching clients nowadays, because I can't even put words on it. It's like I'm opening myself up, opening them up, and I'm connecting with people on a very deep level of interest, of curiosity, but also of an understanding. And one of my teachers told me, is because she said, you're a very old soul. You've been around the block, right? believe on that. Everyone can choose to believe what they want, but I strongly believe in reincarnation. And she was telling me, well, you've been a teacher for many lifetimes, and this is why you got given this tough life and this difficult start into your life, because you have transformed so much pain and so many challenges in your life that there's so many things that you can emphasize with, and that you can put yourself in so many other shoes because you've been there, and you can genuinely take those people by the hands and guide them out because you found a way out. And that makes it more, you're more approachable and you're more on their level, so to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel that with you. I feel very comfortable chatting with you. And, you do have a lovely way about you. And as they say, great challenges are not given to small souls.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you challenge right now watching this, and good to see a few people have joined us here. We've got Arafor here on LinkedIn. Good to see you there. He says hello. Let us know where you're joining us from, those joining us live here. Andreas Yissimi. Hi, Aldwyn and Kerstin. Delighted the announcement of the live popped up as soon as I logged on during a coffee break. Fascinating stuff. Great, Andreas. Glad you're enjoying it. Kerstin, I so agree with you. A strong mindset in media showbiz is paramount. Also, surrounding ourselves with people who truly care about us makes a world of difference.
Yes,
absolutely.
100%, Andreas. And this is not a given in the show business. I would even dare to say there's more people who do not care about you, but much more about themselves. And it's difficult to find. It's difficult to find genuine connection in the show business.
Absolutely. And Andrea says, spot on, Aldwyn, celebrities are indeed real people doing a job like anyone else. Absolutely. And I remember, asking Russell Crowe, what's it like, being in showbiz? And he said, well, having paparazzi chasing you and taking photos as you're scratching your ass isn't a fun part of the job. But, that was his exact words, right? He said,
I know.
It's just part of it. They don't have any privacy, and everywhere they go, there's cameras in their face, and I guess that's just part of what it's like being a celebrity. And so it can be, I can see for them it can be quite surreal. And you can see with situations like Robin Williams, for example, who had the high life on the outside. He was all bubbly and happy, and then yet he had depression because there's that natural balance, the yin yang balance comes in for people, whether it's celebrities on massive stages, people like Freddie Mercury from Queen, or Elton John, or or some of the biggest names out there have gone through their really rocky roads, because it's very surreal for them to be on big stages, or to have so much pressure in a way on them to please so many people. Someone I admire is Pink. I think Pink is amazing. She's a phenomenal lady in the entertainment industry, and she seems to be keeping it together very well with what she does.
Also her, she has transformed pain. I remember back then when she had these big time troubles with her husband, she was quite public and quite blunt about it, right? Or you mentioning Elton John. I love to watch the biographies of those people, or to read them, or to listen to their audiobooks. Elton John, he had a horrendous, horrible, painful childhood, right? He never felt loved. And with so many people who so strongly drive into the showbiz, very often they try to fill a gap, and they try to fill a wound, something that was lacking in their childhood, because what you think as a young person, when I become famous, people will love me. And then eventually you see, oh my God, it's not genuine love. They just want to stardom. Or when you look at Robbie Williams, right, the British singer who's world famous, reading his biography, he is shitting his pants every time he needs to put himself in front of 70,000 people on stage, because he's so scared. He's scared of his audience, but he pushes himself through all the time, because his whole life, he wanted to prove to be somebody. He even sings about that in his songs nowadays. And only when he found his wife and had his children, he started to feel safe. And it's so amazing when and this is what I'm telling people when I work with them, and they have anxiety and stage fright and fear to talk about others, or to talk in front of others, or the imposter syndrome that many high-ranking CEOs have, more women than men, but it also touches male CEOs. I love to give them these examples. And that's the secret of people who are successful and who radiate and who shine, lastingly, sustainably. They push through those fears. It's not that they don't have those fears. It's not that their life is easier, but they face their demons and they face the challenges. Sometimes, too much, sometimes with the wrong support of substances or whatever. This is why so many people in the show business are heavy cocaine users, because it gives you this overboarding self-esteem and you think you're the queen of the world when you're on coke, right? But then afterwards you drop into this deep hole. And this is why there's so many borderline personalities as well, because they have never learned how to handle their fears in a healthy way. And this is because I've been there. I know that. I've been through all of that. And I thank God I learned ways to face your demons and to face those challenges and to go through the fears and to still keep going and to come out stronger and to go for your success and to cling on to the vision that you have, but in a healthy way, without substances, because everything that we put in our bodies from outside is already there. We can produce any chemical that any drug puts into our brain. We can produce it with particular practices, with mindset, with breathing, with body, with nutrition. And that's what I have come up with from an experience of almost 30 years now. Yeah, like a big toolkit where I've put together those things that put you in this high performing frequency, like radiating, shining, and facing your demons, and keep going even when you are facing failures, but without the side effects. I this movie Limitless with
Yes.
Bradley
Yes.
Cooper. I love it.
Yes. I love that as well.
He pops a pill and he turns into this supernatural being and he just rocks it. But of course, the pill comes with a side effect and everything goes down the drain afterwards. That's what I'm telling my clients. You can turn yourself into and it's not even supernatural. This is our natural state, because our body is designed with the ability of being super focused, super sharp, of healing diseases that we get told that are uncurable. When I was in my 20s, I had a so-called uncurable kidney disease. My body was poisoned, right? And the doctors told me, you will never be healthy again. And look at me now. I'm 47. I'm healthier than ever. I'm in a better physical condition than in my 20s. Because I'm treating my body differently. I'm doing all of those practices. There's no more substances. I think the worst drug I'm taking now is coffee. And, you can turn yourself into that high performing being and not being exhausted and overcoming your fears without any side effects.
Yes, I love that. And we are in such a culture now where people think, oh, yeah, just pop the pill, you'll be right, mate, and all this kind of thing.
Yes,
and drugs do actually bring out exactly what is in our body. And it's interesting. I've done some DMT breath work more recently, and, that takes you to other dimensions. I mean, that's like a whole other world. It's amazing, and for someone who had trouble initially meditating and silencing the mind, because I was so much in my mind as a media person, it was a real challenge to silence the mind. So I'm curious for you, how was that transition when you went to India? And you were mentioning before that you never planned to stay in India as long as you did. So how was that transition for you, going from the head to the heart or into the body, like going from being a media personality to actually silencing the mind and to do yoga and meditation, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a path, right? This doesn't happen over the weekend. And I had decided to take a sabbatical for 1 year, which then had me end up living in India for 7 years and going on a deep quest on studying the healing arts, studying Advaita Vedanta philosophy in depth. I was living in ashrams all in all for 2 years together, living with monks. I would even stay in caves with sadhus, those people who retreat from the worldly life. And they would even invite me to stay with the highest guru there. And we went into deep trances and I would meditate for weeks and and like really, really go deep. But it was a way in the beginning. And this is interesting. There's a type of psychology that divides your motivations into away from and a towards motivation. So I would say my first year in India was a very strong away from. I wanted to get away from the show business, from the fakeness, from my self-doubt, from my family history. I wanted to escape, and I wanted to be as far away as I can from Germany, where nobody knows me. I loved walking around, nobody recognizing me, right? I loved being in this country where I didn't understand the language. I didn't even hear German language anymore, and I loved it. It was I hadn't felt so free, I think, in my whole life. So the first year was really just escaping. I was going on these deep spiritual quests. Really, I would do the most crazy healing sessions where people would hang me, upside down on a tree, and it was like an exorcism. And I was so open, and I was just the curiosity that I had formerly put on all those people that I was interviewing. I was now opening up this world, like, oh my God, there's healers and there's saints and everything. I started to feel, I had read all the books, the Advaita Vedanta, the Bhagavad Gita, all these Indian books I had read in my 10 years of yoga, but it was mere theory. And all of a sudden, I started to experience those things. I started to understand what they meant when they were, I get goosebumps talking about it. I so remember after my first deep, deep, deep meditation for hours, right? In the presence of a monk, of a sadhu, who's when you're in the presence of a saint, their pure light and their energy just rubs off on you, and I started to understand what the old scriptures mean when they say there is no division, there is no separation. You are that, tat tvam asmi. That's one of the sayings in Advaita Vedanta. I am all this. You are me, I am you. When we leave this body, we get back to the whole energy that is always there. And you don't have to be religious. It is not esoteric. This is really neuroscience. You cannot take away energy. Energy is just changing, right? And when I went into these deep quests, I had these moments. Some might call it enlightenment. It's just a deep understanding and a deep finding of peace and losing of fear, because I understood all these painful things that I have been through. They were just chances for me to learn. And in Advaita Vedanta, they say, Brahma, the whole big energy, comes into one body to experience everything that is to experience. And if you believe in reincarnation or not, it doesn't matter. But you are here to make a genuine experience. Aldwyn has been born by the parents that she's been born by into the country. And I know you have an amazing family history as well, right? Your soul, however you want to call it, has chosen to incarnate into this family, into this body, to make a certain experience, to learn certain things. And this is what they talk about in karma, right? When you have messed up in your former life, if you want to look at it that way, you get given another chance to practice and to learn, and then maybe even fulfill your dharma, your life purpose. Like with me, it turned out that I had to go through all of this pain, find my way, master those tools. And having been so present in the modern world and then diving so deep into the ancient world, finding ways to blend that together, I would sit with neuroscientists who would come to my resort, which I was later running in India. We had Madonna's yoga teacher there, and it was very present, right? So we had amazing personalities coming to stay and spend their holidays with us. And I would go into these incredible deep conversations with people from the very old ancient wisdom, but also from the very modern scientists who actually explore what happens in the brain in deep meditation, scientists who explore why does a body develop cancer and another doesn't, although by DNA they have the same precondition, right? And I would then take all of those things with the understanding I had to be thrown into this painful situation, to heal all of that, to master those tools, to then use my voice that I was given with this very present show business, and maybe supporting others. This is what my teacher in India was telling me when I was thinking about staying there, living in the ashram. I'll be a nun. I'm never going to go back. He was actually telling me, girl, you weren't born into this body, into this situation to sit in a cave and meditate for the rest of your life. You are freaking going to go back to Germany. You're going to write a book. You're going to use your voice and you're going to inspire others. When your master says, you obey. So I went back. I wrote my first book. It became a bestseller. It was read by 250,000 people. And then boom, it changed from the show business girl to then being, interviewed about healthy lifestyle, about yoga, about meditation. People actually started to understand. I mean, nowadays, when you look at Instagram and you see all these bikini yoga girls, it has become like a mainstream thingy, right? But back then, people still had the prejudice. Yoga is so esoteric and And this is why purposely in my first book, like I took the whole production team to India. I forced them to climb up the mountains because I wanted to shoot the photos on the original locations, right? But I would wear like these amazing evening gowns by a designer because I wanted to show them we're no longer living in the world of either or, but both. It's all about blending together. And this is what yoga means, bringing together, weaving together the old and the new, the inside and the out. And you can be a high-performing, successful person. You can even be a show business celebrity and yet at the same time have a deep spirituality. You can be mentally healthy when you're high performing, and you can take care of your soul even when you are running a company. And that's been my mission ever since, for over 10 years now, to share that and to support others and to inspire others.
Oh, I love it. It's so great. I must say, I love yoga myself. I absolutely love it. I feel so relaxed. In fact, I crave it. If I haven't had it for a while, I sometimes I just need to go and do a yoga class, or I need to go to the beach. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit flat, I'll either do yoga or I'll go to the beach, right? One of those things, or I might sleep, right? Might have a little nap. But really, it's so powerful, and it is about, yoga is that deep breathing, that relaxation, stretching the whole body out. It's such a beautiful practice, and I actually really like gentle yoga. I like more the restorative yoga personally. I mean, some of the yoga can get a bit full on with people throwing their arms and legs in the air and whatever. Some of it can be a bit out there, however,
ego, right? There's a lot of ego in the yoga scene as well. Oh, look what I can do with my body.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, we go at our own pace, etc. However, very, very powerful practice. And in fact, all the successful people I know meditate. All of them meditate. And yoga, in a way, is a form of meditation. Really, that's how I look at it. And in fact, often in yoga, there is the meditation segment at the end of it as well. And so I find that very, very powerful and very interesting that so many people who are successful in life, in whatever we view success as, that are achieving goals of what they set for their lives in all areas of life, that they meditate. Now, is this something that you practice daily now, and is it something you would recommend? And what would you say to people who might have a bit of a challenge silencing the mind, particularly the busy business people out there? What would you recommend to them to silence their mind to be able to meditate? And how much meditation do we really need?
Well, the more the merrier, I always say with
Right.
meditation. And this is something I know that many people, especially high ranking CEOs, business people, they are scared of meditation. They have the image of esoteric, people who are hugging trees in their head, and they think they lose control when they start to meditate. This is something I hear in so many of my business clients. But
Right.
here comes the big but. What I'm always telling people is you don't slow down with meditation, you actually speed up. And I could go into we need to do another show on just that, the neuroscientific background of meditation, which I'm so celebrating, because now it is happening now. The modern science is proving now with devices, with machines that they can plug to our brains. They are now showing on those devices the altering of the brain through meditation. This is what the yogis have been talking about for 5,000 years. They have been describing it in the Advaita Vedanta scriptures, but now modern science is understanding the benefits. And this is why so many highly successful people who really have, invented things or disrupted whole industries, they have some type of awareness practice, I would say. It doesn't need to be meditation, but what happens when you regularly meditate, and this is scientifically proven by now, this is not some yogi wishy-washy talk, you alter your brain waves in a way that your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that is there to process information, you alter it into a much higher alert. This is like if you want to run your business on a little old computer from the 80s where it takes like half an hour to open an email, right? You very
Uh-huh.
unlikely will start a successful online business. You need, I'm not going to mention any brand names here, right? But we all know what I'm talking about. You need the
Yes.
freaking best device. You were telling me before we went live here. That's a great example. Before we went live here, you were telling me to shut off all the apps so we have the maximum Wi-Fi connection to do this live
Yes.
stream on high
Yes.
resolution 1080. Compare that to
Yes.
your brain. What happens in meditation? You shut down. We have at least 17,000 thoughts per day, up to 60,000 with very restless minds. What happens when you practice meditation on a regular base? You are shutting down all the apps that are running here and that are stealing energy from your prefrontal cortex. And you want to train your mind to come into the ekagrata condition. Ekagrata means one pointedness. When you train your brain to focus on only one thought, you have the freaking fastest Wi-Fi that you can do. And this is what I'm teaching
Mhm.
my clients. I'm training them, and it takes a while. It takes months, if not years. If you want to become a master in that, it takes years, right? Because
Mhm.
it's a muscle. It's like nobody becomes a world champion by just going to the gym one weekend, right?
It's
Eh,
true.
the more you want, the more you got to put in, and it takes discipline, it takes perseverance, but it's amazing what you can do. Remember this guy Limitless, right? This movie Limitless. It actually, this is what happens. You turn your brain into a much more efficient device than a
Mm.
non-trained brain. And why meditation? People think, you sit on your pillow and you do nothing. That's the point. That's the point. You shut off all the other apps to have that one thought. And this is another practice that you then deliberately choose. You choose what to focus on. It's no longer distractions and memories and filters and argument with your partner and worry about your child or your cat is sick. All these thoughts that pop into a non-trained brain that distract us, that make us less efficient, you learn how to block them out deliberately. And this is not to become a cold wall or to no longer have emotions, but you choose, you become the master of your brain. And can you imagine how much more efficient you are? And why these people, if you want to build if you consider success building a multi-gazillion business. You better be focused, right? You can't be distracted. You can't be scattered in your mind. You got to know your numbers, and you got to know all of your 5,000 employees, and you got to be focused. But, and again, another but, and this is why I coach my clients holistically. What you also learn, and here's why meditation is so magical, I would almost say, because it's not about only performing better and being faster, but what you also need, just like with a computer, if it's on for too long, it gets hot and it turns down and it breaks eventually. You need to learn to slow down your mind and your body and your breath in a way that your vehicle, your machine, the body, and your nervous system, your adrenal system, they need to rejuvenate, they need to recover and to recharge, because if you keep running, then your batteries will run out. This is burnout. And in meditation, we not only learn to deliberately focus, but to also deliberately charge. Is always action, relaxation, action, relaxation. So this is another benefit when you learn to calm your mind. What happens, for example, at the end of the day, when you finish work and when you go to bed, so many high-performing individuals have severe sleeping problems because their mind just keeps on going, right? With meditation, you learn to consciously stop it and to really go into rest and to really let your cells rejuvenate. That's why you don't get ill anymore. If you meditate deeply regularly, you don't get ill anymore. Your immune system goes up. The way you process your food, because this is what happens at nighttime, or metabolism works at nighttime. When you go into deep rest, you process your food better. You have more energy at hand the next day. So there's so many aspects, right? I could talk about it for weeks, but all of that comes down to controlling your mind. And when I say controlling, this is not about becoming a robot, but it's about deliberately choosing where to put your focus on, when to relax, when to let go of the stress, and when to focus on work and when to focus on joy. Because this is what happens when you become so efficient in your work time. You get shit done much quicker, you don't like procrastinate and doodle-deedle with some stuff that's just not getting it done. You get it done, you're there, and then you have free time. You have quality time to enjoy. And don't we all want that, no?
Yes. Wow. Well said. I love that. And it's having that laser focus, isn't it? It's as you say, 60,000 thoughts a day, 95% of our thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday for most people, and 80% are negative for most people. And so that takes, if that's our standard modem apparatus, then then it's going to take something to shift that, right? To actually, you want a different result, do things differently. And today's topic, the 5 pillars of success. I would love to hear what these 5 pillars are. And we'll come to some of your comments. Thank you so much for those who've made some comments there. We'll come to those before we wrap up the show. But what are these 5 pillars of success that we speak of here? And I'm very curious to hear more about your book as well.
So we scratched them a little bit. So the first pillar, this is this holistic approach that I work with, that it is paramount to address all 5 pillars if you want lasting success, lasting health, and lasting joy in your life. If you neglect one of those pillars for too long, or if you don't develop them properly, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There will always be a lack somewhere in your life. And if you want the full Shazam, then you gotta take care of all of these 5 pillars. We have addressed the body, I think, enough. I think it's quite obvious, right? When your body is ill, when you have sleeping problems, when you have joint problems, when you don't eat well, you will never be in your highest potential. It's just not going to happen. It's quite obvious, right? Second pillar is the mind. We were addressing it with the part of meditation, right? There's other aspects to it. So I always, as I said, I combine the ancient wisdom with the modern neuroscience. There's so many techniques and tools how to train your mind, how to become more concentrated, focused, how to release old thoughts and patterns and beliefs. So again, I combine ancient wisdom with modern neuroscience, with modern psychology, because you need to be in control of your mind. If your mind is messing with you, you will never be successful in life because there's too much distraction, too much procrastination. And at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself, how can your clients, your customers, and your surrounding do so? It's not going to happen. So the body, the mind, emotions, and this is all connected. Nothing can be used separately, right? It's always connected. The emotions. How do I react on a stressful situation? Do I stay calm? Can I control my fear, my anxiety when I need to present, when I'm speaking to my boss because I want to raise in money, when I have a conflict, when things are going wrong, right? Do I freak out or do I stay centered? So you want to look at your emotions and you want to look at why you react the way that you react. We always are programmed by our history, by our upbringing, and so on. So body, mind, emotions. The fourth one is the material world. You want to make sure that you have your needs met. This is the least. If you are worrying about how to pay your bills and how to pay your rent, you won't have a healthy body, you won't have a calm mind, you won't have your emotions under control because there's fear, there's stress, there's, unsettledness. So you want to get your outer world at least to begin with in such a place that you have a constant stream of income, that you know your numbers, that you know where you find everything, that you feel in control, and this will rub off on the other ones. They're all intertwined, right? So the outer world is important. This is also touching our connections. How do you interact with other people? How are your communications? How are your boundaries to yourself and to others? Do you communicate boundaries to the outer world, or do you let people abuse you, take advantage of you? This is with so many of my female coaching clients. I would say almost 70-80%, they end up opening up about having their borders, their boundaries crossed at one point or another, because they have a tendency to overgive, right? And they never learned to stand up for themselves. So all of that plays into the fourth pillar, the outer world. And this is always, how do you create your outer world? How do you design it? Again, purposely, deliberately. This saying, create your life and don't just let it happen to you. Become the master. You want to take the horse by the leash.
Yes.
So the body, the mind, the emotions, the outer world. And once you've done the groundwork with those four, and this is really a luxury that we have in our generation. When I think of my grandmother, who was a woman in German war, she never had the luxury to look at pillar 5. Not even all of the 4 ones, right? Because they were mainly stuck in making sure to have their ends meet, to have enough food, to have a safe home, to build the home from the ruins of war. But our generation, most of us, when we are blessed to be born in a Western country, when we have, this particular karma, then we can look at the 5th pillar, which is our life purpose, which is our spirit or soul, however you want to call it, that which lives in our body, that which perceives the world through our mind, that which feels the emotions that are coming, and to consciously connect with that, to consciously ask myself, what is my life purpose? What do I enjoy most? What am I really good at sharing? Maybe when I'm past my 40s, 50s, what have I learned? What have I mastered in my life? What can I pass on to others? How can I be of service to the world? Being of service for others is the most rewarding thing that a human being can experience. And when you look at old people, just before they pass away, those who die happy. There's even a band name, right? We have a band here in Germany, they're called that way. I talked long with this girl. She named it after her grandmother. And those who give back, they find a life purpose. And this is the most rewarding thing. And when you connect with this fifth pillar, then you can plug all your actions, all the other four into that. And this will then carry you through setbacks when things in your business don't go right, but you have a strong connection to your vision. This is something you can hold on to. You know why you're doing that. You know you're going to keep going, and you might find another way. You're very, very less likely to give up when you have a strong connection to your life purpose. So these are the 5 main pillars in life, and you want to develop them. You want to remove those obstacles that keep you away from nourishing all of them. And this is a lifelong task, right? It never ends. It's not like you do this program for 3 or 6 months and then you're done, right?
Yeah.
This is something it needs to become your second nature, you know? This is what I always say. I have done this for 30 years, all of those. And it's an ongoing process. It's a work in process. And it's running underneath everything I do, say, and feel like a sound wave, you know? And it filters everything in life. And it's so beautiful. And it can grow all the way to the end.
Fantastic. I love that. And can you tell us more about your book now? I'm very curious.
Well, I've written 3 books up to today.
Wow, your 3 books.
Yeah, they've all been for the German-speaking countries. So one of them has been published into Swedish language. I have no idea why. Obviously, in Sweden, they love what I do. All 3 of them, 2 of them were bestsellers in the German-speaking countries. They have inspired many, many people. They all revolve around a better living, a healthier living. My company is called Be Better, not because it's like you're better than others, but it wants to offer a way of being better every single day, of growing and embracing life more. And these are what all my books revolve around. The first one, as I said, was very much about, of course, yoga, meditation, the history of yoga. I took the production team to India. There was a DVD. This was before, it was common. We had no QR code, so it still has a DVD. It got published in 2011, and I'm sharing yoga routines, the nutrition, the meditation, everything we talked about. How can you calm your mind? How can you heal wounds from the past with the help of yoga, meditation, and Advaita Vedanta philosophy? This was the first one. The second one, my teaching already had evolved when I published it, and I have written it very much for my business clients because, and you were asking that question, I want to get back to that very quickly, because working with high-ranking CEOs, I found, well, I can't be too spiritual in my wording. They get a little bit scared and they think I come with incense sticks and I'm dancing around the tree, and I got to be a bit more scientific here. And this is when I started really interviewing scientists, and I really went after the proof for what I'm teaching, is jam-packed with numbers and proofs and what happens in the brain, the changes of your synapses in the brain when you do those practices. How can you get better at work? How can you improve your own company when you're running a company? How can you make sure your employees don't call ill that often any longer? All of those things. So it was a much stronger focus on the business world and how to implement a healthy physical and mental lifestyle into your business. And the third one was one of the biggest publishing houses in Germany. They requested me to write that for them, and they wanted something very personal. They wanted like autobiographical. How do you say that?
Biographical.
Autobiographical. Oh, it's difficult for a German. So they wanted a lot of my personal story in it. I had just given birth to my daughter when I wrote my third book. the two other ones were before I became a mother. So that went into it as well, the transformation, how you change as a woman. Becoming a mother is a big change for a woman, for your body, for your mind, for your heart. I very much opened up about my own healing regarding my mother wound. I have a very strong mother wound from my upbringing. And, when I was younger, I always thought I will never be a mother because I don't want to mess up like it was messed up with me. But I healed that also again with the help of my healing quest in India. And I'm sharing a lot of those personal stories in there. I even put in some photos from my pilgrimages in India when I'm staying with this jungle tribe, and they had invited me to this fire ritual, and I was taking photos with my mirror reflex camera. So it's much more personal, but they all revolve around how to turn your life into something more beautiful, more healthy, into something better without any pills or just from the inside out. So yeah, these are the 3 books I keep getting requests from publishing houses and from people asking me, write another book. But at this point, I just don't have the time, to be honest. There will be more books for sure. I have so many in my head, but at this moment, I prefer to share the way you're providing a platform for example, no?
Yeah, amazing. Can people still get copies of any of those books at the moment? Or?
Yeah, they're all on Amazon, and can I advertise? You can get them everywhere. You can get them everywhere where you can get books. They're all in German, as I said. But if you put my name into Amazon, you find my books, my teas. I have produced some chakra teas with the Irish company. There's many things, and you can get them online everywhere. Yes.
Amazing. That sounds phenomenal. I would love to read it in English. I wonder if there's a way we can get it in English. Is it going to be translated?
I should check in with the publishing house. Actually, there's copyrights behind it. All of that. This was what my managers were doing for me. So I'm not so much into these whole contract things. But it'd be amazing. I'll have a look into that because it's there, right? It's there. It just needs to be translated.
It would open up a whole new market. So, amazing. Well done, Kerstin. That is phenomenal. And I know you have to run out soon, so we'll go quickly through these comments and we'll wrap up shortly. An hour's almost up. I can't believe it. Mark Aston says, the line about burnout was interesting. When I was presenting sport and reporting between 82 and 2016, I was constantly in a high state of stress, but I became accustomed to it. However, now at 65 years old, I don't handle stress well at all. It's a warning to all fellow reporters who work in high-intensity newsrooms for a long time.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow, interesting.
That's a good point of Mark, because you can train your body and mind as much as you can train them to positive behaviors. They can also get accustomed to negative behaviors, but it's going to show, and when your body has been in a fight or flight mode all of your life, of course, when you're a little bit older, even when you get out of that stressful situation, this is what your body and mind have been trained to. So your mind is much more likely to react in fight or flight than in rest and recharge, right? But it can be unlearned. Everything that has been learned can be unlearned, and it has nothing to do with age.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of post-traumatic stress as well. I know with reporters as well. Like I was doing some really hard news at times, reporting crimes and accidents and things. We'd get to scenes sometimes before the ambulance got there, and we saw some pretty horrific things as a news reporter. So I can imagine that there's some healing to be done. And I mean, I've done years of personal development, and I continue to do personal development. So it's one of those things. Again, you got to keep practicing that muscle and keep doing the best you can to stay on top of your game and to be aware of how you're behaving and to actively choose to how you do life, really. And that takes some practice. It takes some discipline, and it takes a good environment of people, mentors, all that kind of stuff. So
it's beautiful. I always tell people, because when we talk about discipline gets looked at so unsexy, but look at it in a sexy way. Look at it like, oh my God, I love being disciplined. I love getting up in the morning. I love making myself go to the gym and meditate if I don't feel like it, because how much better do you feel later on? And I encourage my clients to shift from I don't want to like, you know, I'm getting turned on by being disciplined.
Yes, yes. And I know it's something I have definitely been challenged with discipline. My dad always said, you got to be organized, you got to be disciplined. And of course, I rebelled for years and then I paid the price. However, now I know that structure creates freedom.
Yes.
Structure creates freedom. And, when you know structure creates freedom, discipline's a beautiful thing. And in fact, in business, I think it's absolutely essential to be disciplined. Sure. Now we've got Gillian and Dale here, or Andale. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. On LinkedIn, I think the pressure on the young celebrities is too underplayed, and there is such lack of empathy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And the younger generation, like I was saying, when I was young and so present, thank God, I must say, this was before social media. But imagine you're a young person and their personality is not as developed. There's much more insecurity. Maybe they're even going through the adolescence where the body is changing, the hormones is changing. I mean, how can you know about life when you're so young, and imagine having a cell phone of a stranger in your face 24/7, having it broadcasted to social media and having the world know about every single step you do. Like you were saying, like Mel Gibson was saying, you don't want a photo of yourself scratching your ass everywhere, and scratching the ass is one of the least problems. But think about Britney Spears shaving her head because she couldn't take it anymore. Think about I would have to think with all these young people that there's so many examples of those young people losing it, because Gillian is saying so right. There's such lack of empathy, and so often stardom and celebrity and making tons of money gets equaled with, oh, I can just push them. I can just say anything about them, what I want, because they make so much money, they have to take it. No, they're human beings. They're a soul having an experience. But then again, yes, everyone can always leave the situation. And I know some very well-known Hollywood celebrities who you never hear anything private about because they have learned how to protect their private lives, So yes, there needs to be more empathy. But also, I think they all should have a training, like how to protect your soul being a celebrity. Trained in that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I remember when I interviewed, it was Russell Crowe, actually. His band 50 Odd Foot of Grunt was coming to the Gold Coast, and the PR people specifically said, we don't want you asking anything about his personal life, because his girlfriend at the time was rumored to be pregnant. And they said, these are the questions we want you to ask. And they were very specific about it in that particular case. So there's ways you can work around it with media people, because some of them will be a little bit cheeky and ask those kinds of questions, right? So yes, thank you for that, Gillian. Of course, there's cyberbullying now, right, which makes it even harder on the young celebrities, right? Now, Mark says here, good point, Robbie Williams. We must remember celebrities are human beings. They tag celebrities, put on them by us, the media, and their fans. Yes, being human means celebrities has self-confidence issues and often suffer imposter syndrome at a high level. Yes, it's not a healthy way to live your life. Absolutely.
Not at all. Yeah.
And
I'm so happy, Mark. I'm so happy for everyone who finds another way. Like Robbie Williams is one of my most favorite examples. I mean, you never know what's going on behind walls, but when I've been following him and his family for a little bit after reading his biography, and he stopped the drinking, he stopped the drugs, he got into sports, he's taking care of himself, and you would think his life looks more boring on the outside. He's not freaking out on stage as much anymore. This is always interesting. It's also interesting, but he's saying, when you listen to the lyrics of his songs, he sounds much more centered and calm. But he also, I think he's in his 50s now, no? And 40s, beginning of 50s. He also needed to ripe like a good wine, from the and go through. He turned his pain into power and peace as well.
Yes. Beautiful said. And Andreas says here, Kerstin, people entering entertainment showbiz in general need to hear this. The buzz can be obtained in a natural state. It truly can. Yes, Andreas, absolutely. Cameron Quinn, hello, 100%, he says. Hello, ladies. We've got Facebook users saying hello, ladies. I'm not sure which Facebook user. Hello, Facebook user,
Hi,
whoever
Facebook
you are.
user.
Andreas, wow, such a great point about taking care of our brains like we do our computers. It needs a reboot now and again, or indeed to be shut down properly on a regular basis to avoid crashing. Absolutely.
100%. Yes.
So true, so true. Facebook user is very true, Kerstin.
Hi, Facebook user.
Totally with your wisdom, Facebook user. True, our body we need to use as a temple. Yes. Healthy body, healthy mind, happy life. Robert, wisdom world. Kerstin, I love your wisdom. Hello from Belgium, Aldwyn. Great advice. Hello, Facebook user from Belgium. I'd love to know who you are. Let us know your name. Kerstin, regards from Gold Coast. I born in Slovenia, now live in Australia. I love German language and quality. Nice one, Facebook user.
Vielen Dank. Also sage ich dir was auf Deutsch. Some German for you here.
Yes, guten Tag, guten Morgen. Thank you. That's about all I know. Thank you for the 5 pillars reminder and that they support each other. From Gillian and Andreas, thank you so much, Aldwyn and Kerstin. Absolutely amazing. Our absolute pleasure. Wow, it's over an hour now. We do need to wrap up because we have other commitments. Now, Kerstin, how can people connect with you and how can they work with you?
As I said, I have created this beautiful online program. That's what enables me to serve people all over the world. I have a website. It's called www.bebettercoaching.org. You can just go there, read all about my offers. If you want to chat with me, it's bebettercoaching.org/chat. There's so many ways to get in touch. Of course, my social media, I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. And I'm always so happy to hear from people. I 100% appreciate the trust when people open up with their issues, challenges, and stories. And I have different models that I offer. I do very close mentorship for several months. I have people who book me for a full year to guide them through intense processes. Always down to your personal situation, how we're going to work together. But it's always the same process, and it's always beautiful what comes out at the end. If it is building the business or getting more healthy, releasing the stress, the imposter syndrome, it can be done.
Yes, and I'm sure you'd be an absolute delight to work with. So I would highly recommend reach out to Kerstin. She's phenomenal. bebettercoaching.org, BBE, better, spelled fully out, BETTER, coaching, COACHING.org. You can be able to connect with Kerstin. Phenomenal. And we've got Chris de Boven from Belgium. I'm a fan of you, Aldwyn. Thank you so much. Chris, great to see you all the way from Belgium. Welcome,
Beautiful.
welcome.
Bonjour to Belgium.
Bonjour. And for those who want to connect with me, you'll find me, all my links at linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn has all my links. We've got the Global Good News Challenge happening every month. Free marketing for you. It's a way you can share good news and gratitude and lift the energy on the planet. It's a very, very powerful thing to do. I highly recommend you get into gratitude ASAP. And we have prizes to give away, and we add you to a private group and all that stuff. All the details are pinned to the top of the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, which is linked in my link tree. And you can also book a call on my calendar link in there, and a heap of other social media spots. My YouTube channel, Media Queen TV, if you haven't subscribed yet, we've got about nearly 1,000 videos in there now, some amazing interviews and documentaries, all sorts of stuff. So check out Media Queen TV on YouTube as well. We've got thank you, ladies, from, I think that's from Chris. We've got Robert Mull from Brisbane. Good to see you, Robert. Robert from Speakers Tribe, Queensland. Yes, good to see you, Robert. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, all the people who joined us on the live. And for those watching the replay, please let us know what you got out of this conversation in the chat. Dankeschön. We've got from, Chris.
Bitte schön, sehr gerne.
I love it. I'm going to learn some German here today. That's awesome.
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for the comments. Please share the love if you've enjoyed this today. Let us know your ahas in the comments here. And Kerstin, any final words before we wrap up today?
is all inside you. Take that inside you. And what I love to let go, it's evening for you now. We're still in the middle of the day. So
Yes.
if you're in Australia and you're going to bed now, or if you're here in Europe and you're still going into your day, do one thing. Like right after watching this, even if you're watching the replay, do one thing. Go into your bathroom, into the, not toilet, but the bathroom. Go into your bathroom, close your eyes, and then find a moment of gratitude and let that express through the most loving smile, and make the decision to treat yourself fantastic. And then you open your eyes, and then you give that big smile to the first person you see in the mirror. And do that every day, and you will see a shift. And this will develop gratitude for your everyday.
Oh, I love that. And gratitude for self. Self-love is so important. Self-love and my little love heart, sending love to everyone here who has joined us today. Thank you so much, Kirsten. It's been an absolute joy and delight to have you
Thank you
on
for
Media
having
Queen TV. Thank you. And thank you for having me on your show the other day as well.
me.
For those who want to connect on your show, where can they find your show as well?
It's my podcast. It's called the Friday Femme Power Talk. It's on all podcast platforms that you can find. And the show where we did the interview with you will be airing on my birthday on August 4th. So in 2 weeks, yeah, you'll be my birthday present.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I'm
Yes.
so pleased. That's fantastic. A powerful Leo in the house. Love it. So cool. And you certainly are a powerhouse, Kirsten. Love your work. Thank you so much for all that you bring and
Thank
all you do. You're an absolute amazing inspiration, I think, for all of us, and look forward to more of your journeys ahead and hopefully doing some more work together.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, everybody. And as Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. Sending you lots of love, and we'll see you again next time here on Media Queen TV.